The United States Constitution, Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble. The American Constitution, Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, the right of the people. Black Laws, 9th edition. People, the citizens of a state as represented by the prosecution in a criminal case. The People versus Snyder. Black Laws, 3rd edition. People, in a more restricted sense, and as generally used in constitutional law, the entire body of those citizens of a state or nation who are invested with political power for political purpose, that is, the qualified voters or electors. So, people means citizens. Black Law, 9th edition. Citizen, a person who, by either birth or naturalization, is a member of a political community, owing allegiance to the community and being entitled to enjoy all its civil rights and protections. Black Laws, 3rd edition. Citizen, one who, as a member of a nation or body politic of the sovereign state, owes allegiance to and may claim reciprocal protection from its governments. So, citizen is a person who is a member of a sovereign state and owes allegiance to that state. When you look into the United States Constitution Act, and you look into the amendments, and you see Article 1, it states that the right of the people, that's what the Constitution Act states. Then I look again in Amendment number 2, and again I find the same phrase, the right of the people. And again, in the Amendment number 4 in the Constitution Act of America, it says the right of the people. So I started to glean through the rest of the Constitution Act and started to read it and look how it was worded and what was written in there. And it's clearly shown and indicated that the people is what this Constitution applies to. And strictly the people. Now, when we look into black laws or any type of legal dictionary, we see that people always refers to the citizen. A citizen. And a citizen is one who owes allegiance to a sovereign. A citizen is not a sovereign. A citizen owes its allegiance to a sovereign or to the state political party, which is the sovereign who rules. So when we read in the Constitution Act where it constantly says the right of the people to bear arms, for example, what they are saying is that not as a human being. This doesn't equate to it saying you as a human being have the right to bear arms. It's saying you as a people who are a citizen and a subject of the state and who owes allegiance to the state have the right to bear arms. Now that right has been given to you through the state itself, and that right can be removed from you. The United States Constitution Act, Amendment number 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. According to the Constitution Act in America, the people who are the citizens of the state and owe allegiance to the sovereign have been given certain rights and liberties through the Constitution Act. And these rights and liberties, these certain rights and liberties that the American government afforded to their people, their citizens, are enumerated or expressed in the Constitution. Now, if you look in the Constitution Act, under Amendment number 9, you see that it's written that the enumeration in this Constitution of certain, there it is again, qualified, certain rights shall not be construed, which means it will not be taken as denying or to disparage others, meaning other rights that are retained by the people. So here there's an expression of law that's saying that even though there are certain rights that are enumerated in the Constitution Act for the people, for the citizens, whatever's not enumerated in the Constitution Act is still in operation, because it clearly says that there is still other rights in operation that are retained by the people here in America. The Constitution Act of Canada 1982, the Article 26, the guarantee in this charter of certain rights and freedoms shall not be construed as denying the existence of any other rights or freedoms that exist in Canada. The Canadian Bill of Rights, Article 5, nothing in Part 1 shall be construed to abrogate or abridge any human right or fundamental freedom not enumerated, again that word, enumerated, therein, that may have existed in Canada at the commencement of this Act. The Constitution Act of Canada 1982, the Article 26, the guarantee in this charter of certain rights and freedoms shall not be construed as denying the existence of any other rights or freedoms that exist in Canada. So we find in the Constitution Act of America, our Amendment number 9, we find the same wording basically, or the same operation of law available to us here in Canada under Article 26. We find that same expression in the Quebec Charter, Article 50, and in the Canadian Bill of Rights, Article 5. And all of these articles of law in America and Canada state that in these documents, so in the Canadian Bill of Rights, in the Quebec Charter, in the Constitution Act of Canada, and in the Constitution Act of America, in these documents, there are certain, qualified again, not all that you have, but certain, a limited amount of rights and freedoms that are expressed in these documentations. Certain rights and freedoms that are available for you to use. But within all these documents, in these articles here, it states that, but there are other rights and freedoms that are available which we, meaning the state parties, acknowledge and are there for you to use if you know that they are there. So it's no coincidence, it's not by accident, it is done on purpose that the fact, when you look into the Constitution Act of America, Amendment number 9, you see the exact same operation of law that is present within Canada and in Quebec and in all the provinces here in Canada, which states that, again, here we are listing certain rights and freedoms, but there are other rights and freedoms that are available for you that are not enumerated or listed in these documents. So we have other rights and freedoms, and these other rights and freedoms, they are about who we are fundamentally as men and women or human beings. You see, we as men and women, we have all of our rights and freedoms, our fundamental rights and freedoms, and they're not supposed to be able to be taken away from us. But as a people, a citizen, or persons, we're given certain rights and benefits from the states. And these certain rights and benefits do not equal to all of our rights and freedoms that we are born with. Now, in order to find these other rights and freedoms that America is talking about and that Canada is talking about, you need to look into international law. International law. Because all these laws, the Canadian Bill of Rights, the Constitution Act of Canada, the Quebec Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Constitution Act of America, these are all domestic laws. They're laws that have been created and they affect the country personally, domestically. But international law affects everyone. all of these countries that are signatories to these contracts, that have signed upon these covenants, if you will. And America, as well as Canada, are bound contractually, legally, to the international law or the international covenants. And in those international covenants, you find the expression of our other rights and freedoms. If you've watched any of my videos here at YouTube, you'll see me talk about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Freedoms, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant on Social, Economic, and Cultural Rights, and also the Declaration on the Responsibility of Rights in Individuals. It's a DRR, Human Rights Protection Covenant. These are covenants that express our other rights and freedoms that are available for us to use within law. That we can point to these documents, draw upon these documents in a court of law, and this claim that we make under these laws must be respected. You see, for anyone to make a claim, well, the claim that's being made, someone must acknowledge that claim. Someone must say, you are right. There is an acknowledgement, or there is power behind that claim. And by using the international laws that are granted to us, that are in operation, that are clearly expressed within our own domestic laws, it gives us the right to make these claims. Well, hey, listen, you as the country, America, you guys created this Constitution and you only gave me certain rights and freedoms. And I've realized that I have other rights and freedoms that are not being expressed and that are not being granted to me here. Now I'm making a claim on that. Same thing with here in Canada. I realized after having studied the laws and seen what is being done, you've rendered me a citizen, a subject of Her Majesty, who owes allegiance to Her Majesty, and you've only given me certain rights and freedoms of a human being, and not all of my rights and freedoms. Therefore, I know in international law that there's no obligation for me to take recognition as a citizen and to strip myself of my rights and freedoms as a human being. Therefore, I'm making a claim. And I'm claiming that I'm not going to enter into juridical personality. I'm not going to be considered the people or the citizen. And I'm not going to let you strip me of my fundamental right and freedom. And if you don't allow me to exercise my fundamental right and freedom, there is documentation. There's articles of law that can be called on and brought forth to lay a claim that must be respected. I get this question quite often, maybe 10 times a week. And the question goes in, well, who's going to enforce my rights? As if to say, like, who's going to come here and spoon feed me my rights? Can I go to McDonald's and, order that quick Happy Meal or whatever it is, pay the $5, and in 3 minutes, oh, I have my meal. All right, let's go eat. Well, who's gonna give me my rights? Who's gonna do this for me? And my answer back to you is absolutely nobody. Nobody's gonna do this for you. If you're gonna learn who you are, if you're gonna understand your rights and freedoms that are attached to you just because you are a man or a woman, you're gonna have to put your own effort forward. You're gonna have to put that energy forward. And when you do, and when you understand and get a comprehension of what has gone on, you'll be able yourself on an individual level to make that claim and to be able to say, hey, hang on a second here, you've stripped me of a lot of things and I was held in ignorance, but now I'm not anymore, and I'm coming with the law backing me, making a claim to my freedom, which is your every right. Otherwise, why even put it in the law? For doubting Thomases out there, and I see a few of them, why even put it in the law? Why allow the expression of the articles of law to be there? If they didn't want you, or I know they don't want us to, but if they didn't have that operation of law available to us, they could have just taken out these articles. Amendment number 9, gone, thrown in the garbage. Constitution Act of Canada, Article 26, gone, thrown in the garbage. Quebec Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms, Article 50, gone, thrown in the garbage. Canadian Bill of Rights, Article 5.1, gone, thrown in the garbage. Now guess what? There's no more other rights and freedoms available for us in the United States or in Canada. So they don't have to care about the international law. So what's the problem? They couldn't do it because there's a contractual obligation. There's a legal obligation that binds them, that they have to have these articles of law there. They're hoping that we all stay in ignorance. They're hoping that we don't understand what they've done and we just go on with our lives, remaining in slavery, in servitude as a citizen, a people, or a person.
But for those who put the effort forward, they will clearly see and they can find liberty within the words they created.